we'll see if anyone joins live and they can say hi and ask us questions. So everyone, I don't really know how to do good intros live, but say hello to Benedicte Ray. I actually still don't know how to properly pronounce that. She just launched an app called POW, and I'm gonna let her talk more about how that went and what she did to build it, just hey, tell us the story behind behind your launch and what you just accomplished.
Oh, and feel free to interrupt me with questions because you do know a little bit about it. Yes, I'm Benedicte, and my last name is actually, in Norwegian it's pronounced Rå, which means raw.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that's kind of cool. It also means raw in Norwegian is also awesome, so. So I just launched POW. It's a menstrual cycle tracker app, and I'm practicing saying that. And also trying to find a better terminology for that because I'm doing it a little bit differently than the tracker apps that are already existing. So all the way in the beginning, I think a lot of us female developers have wanted to make some kind of menstrual cycle app in the same way that everybody wants to make their, all developers want to make their own CMSs or their own CRMs or their own course platforms,
Yes.
It's one of those things that are always kind of been in the back of my mind, and that I thought, it's I don't know if I want to be handling people's menstrual cycle data, because as we know, as developers, we can usually like get into the back end and have a sneak peek. And I didn't want to go to parties and kind of know like, oh, you guys had sex yesterday, or you feel cracked today. I just didn't want to have that kind of knowledge, and I thought making something where I didn't would be very hard. But then last year, the Wall Street Journal, I think, were the ones who broke the news that most of these health apps and also the menstrual cycle apps actually share data with third parties, and I kind of thought like, whoa, wow. I need to revisit this this idea.
So you're saying that if I use one of those menstrual tracking apps for all of my menstruation, which I obviously have, the developers will know everything I'm tracking?
Well, I guess, with the developers, hopefully there are some things in place where not everybody can snoop around in the database. But what the Wall Street Journal found is that they're actually sending events about their cycle to third parties, and Facebook being one of them. So there was also a journalist separately that had an experience where she forgot to track that she got her period, and then after a week, she got a ton of like happy smiling moms on Facebook kind of advertisement things.
Oh,
and she thought, oh, is this a coincidence or what? And then she went in and she logged it and all of it stopped. So, I mean, it hasn't been proved, but we all know it's possible.
That is very creepy. So
it is, yeah.
So what are you doing to not track that? Because I know you started with blockchain, and tell us more about how you're stopping yourself from tracking all that juicy data.
Yeah, so when that article came out, I thought, like, what would it take? Is it possible to make a privacy first period tracker? And I was bold and I sent that to a couple of conferences and got yes, so I had to research it. And the research pointed me towards encryption, which wasn't like a big surprise, but I started looking into how to do encryption in the web browser. And it's not that hard, but the kind of developer I am, I really like to use battle-tested services or backends. And in the fall last year, I found Blockstack, which does authentication on the blockchain. And then it also helps you to do encrypted data that can be saved to the cloud.
Cool.
And I was pretty happy with that, but it's there was no syncing because they're very into everything being very decentralized.
Mm-hmm.
And I think their idea is that the user is supposed to be able to move their data from like different storage providers.
Oh, cool.
So I had to write quite a lot of code to try and get these JSON files to sync up, and
Yeah.
I did a
And
pretty good job.
you had to you had to do that because one of your
But
ideas is
then,
that people can use POW from different devices, right?
yes. So I don't know. If it's just because I'm a developer. If that's I still use my computer a lot, and I
Mm-hmm.
like to be able to access things on my computer and just not on my phones. And also because I like developing for the web better,
Yeah.
wanted to be a web app. And if you're making a web app, it should sync. Otherwise, it's
Yes.
a little
Yeah,
weird
that's kind
to
of
be
weird.
having a web app.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then 2.5 weeks before launch, I found something called Userbase, which is it's a startup, a bootstrap startup
Mm-hmm.
with the kind of the same thoughts about business that I have, and also where it's not decentralized, but it's encrypted, and they also help you with authentication, and they also just magically everything just syncs over WebSockets.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
yeah. So threw away most of my work that had been going into actually getting a reliable kind of like back end in the front end.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed to port it fairly quickly, but didn't get to like polish my UI maybe as much as I'd liked for the
Okay.
launch.
So 2 weeks before launch, you decided to completely revamp your entire infrastructure and your architecture,
Yes.
which usually isn't the best idea, but I guess it worked out in this case. How do you feel about throwing away all of that hard work that you spent months on?
And also you asked me, how is this helping your launch? Which
Yep.
is a very good question. um, I feel pretty good about it because it's better to have this being battle tested by more
Mm-hmm.
than just me and my customer. At least in the beginning, I won't have that many customers. It will be
Yeah.
hard to like get to the edge cases. But with Userbase wanting to focus on exactly that, and I also like their focus because if you go to their
Mm-hmm.
kind of like admin panel and stuff, it's pretty raw, and they don't spend that much time making it like fancy. But it seems like they're spending all their time to actually get
Nice.
the core syncing product to
I,
work.
I think a big part of
Um,
that is also that, if I remember correctly, user base launched maybe 6 months ago.
Yes. So I should have found them 6 months ago. I did quite a lot of research to find
Mm-hmm.
kind of encrypted backends to use, but I couldn't find that much. And this was just I came over it on Twitter, actually searching
Yep.
for something else, I think. So yeah, I spent a lot of time, but it's a learning process, and coding is fun. So if you gotta
Nice.
throw it away, you gotta throw it away.
Yeah, that's what I always say. I actually feel I feel happy when I throw code away because that's code I no longer have to maintain, especially if the
Yeah.
newer code is much smaller.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about what it was like to actually work on all of this stuff on the side, because I know you have a job, you have a kid. What does it actually look like to build an app from scratch on the side?
A lot of copy pasting notes. For I guess I always overestimate how much time I
Mm-hmm.
will have. And also working on completely my own project, I've gone in like circles. Like I want to do it this way. No, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it this way, and not kind of like having a product owner or anything making those decisions for you. And also have I can explain that afterward, but my concept is very different from other apps. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to like come up with my own analogies for how to explain it and how the UI is going to work. So, and I think that's still going to take quite a lot of time, but having Userbase as the base,
Mm-hmm.
I can spend more time on the UI. But back to the life work kind of thing. So, Christmas is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, okay, after Christmas, gonna have a lot of time to work on these things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized in January we have like 5 birthdays in the family. So it's like birthday month. So then February rolled around. And I was like, now it's going to be POW time. And then I think we had about 2 weeks of illness
Wow.
in the family where I couldn't code anything for a week. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's life happens.
Yeah.
I feel lately I've gotten into a good groove where I can actually work at night because the foundation is in place. I don't need that kind of like hours of solid work, so I can get like small updates done in the evenings and just enjoying myself. And
So
also, I've had many ideas before, done all kinds of things, but I feel with this idea, I'm like really in it for the long run. So
nice.
having a deadline to launch was important because otherwise I would never have launched what I have.
Yeah, I know
And,
how that goes. So
so
did you have a set time when you worked, or did you just kind of wait for inspiration, or how did that go?
no, so I usually have Fridays and Tuesday evenings
Mm-hmm.
to work on it.
Cool.
Or to work on side projects.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also worked some weekends leading up to the launch.
Yeah.
But going forward, it will probably be Tuesday nights and Fridays for a long time.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how when the deadline approaches, suddenly you have a lot more time in your day, don't to work on this stuff.
Yes, very much more. That was also, it was very good for me to kind of have that happen, to see that I still have that in me to like work more than I do on a regular basis. But I'm
Yeah.
very much for like having a calm and nice
Yeah.
life. So I don't want it to be like that all the time, but I do like to kind of every now and then like do that extra push and like get that energy from like just
Yeah.
going for it.
Yeah, because it's nice to sprint once in a while, but you can't keep sprinting forever.
Exactly.
So
And then in the summer, I could say that, I'm lucky to live in a country where we do value free time and vacation. So
oh, nice.
for the spring and summer, I will probably do most of my work from, we have a summer cabin in Sweden that we usually go to. And then instead of having like a vacation, 100% vacation, because we're not that into that, we usually work maybe 3 hours in the morning, and then we have like vacation time the rest of the day.
That sounds like a nice
well.
that sounds like a nice approach to vacation. Do some work in the morning and then chill.
Yes. Because like for me, more and more I have to, I don't know, in the beginning of my career I wasn't that like obsessed with coding, I guess. But now I have to get some code, like I need to create.
Yeah.
So I just, I need to get it out there and spend some time creating something like totally for me, or like, for myself.
Yeah, so it's almost like coding is like an art form for you, a form of self-expression. You do it because there's something you need to put out.
Yes.
Cool. So
absolutely. And it's funny to say that because lately, it might sound pretentious, but I have related a lot more to people writing about kind of being like how artists think about their work. Yeah. I relate much more to that than kind of like the tech business world where it's a completely different kind of focus to what you do. And at work, we have to work on things, or I'm a contractor. So it's a different mindset, and it's absolutely work. But then with POW, it's absolutely more of kind of like an artistic thing. I just could not make anymore. I just had to give it a go.
That's awesome. That's the best approach. Is there was a cool saying on Hacker News recently. Work on the things that you can't stop thinking about. And it sounds like POW was that for you. So
absolutely.
Eddie Blue from Twitch has a bunch of questions. So I'm going
okay.
So he or she, it's actually kind of hard to tell from Twitter handles or Twitch handles.
Yeah.
What was your
Then you say
valid
they.
she says she's a she.
Yeah.
So what was your validation cycle like? How did you go from I like this idea to I should actually build this idea?
Yes, it started because I was trying not to make it. It started with me thinking I should do more talks. So last year around this time, I attended a global diversity call for proposal day,
Nice.
where they tried to get more people or more different diverse people to do talks. And we talked about like ID generation and that kind of thing, and that one thing you could do is to make a talk proposal on something you want to learn. And then when the Wall Street Journal came out with their article, I thought like, okay, what would it take to make a privacy first web application? And I also thought that I might get some talk acceptance if I made it a more fun topic than just like a regular web application, but you know, a menstrual cycle application. And it's always good to have a use case. So I kind of tried not to make it because I was trying not to do too many side projects. And then while researching, or actually while procrastinating doing the slides, I just couldn't not make it anymore. And there was also a competition held by Blockstack that I thought that would be fun to kind of try my hands on. But kind of validation wise, I've been talking a lot more to people about the idea after having that those talks, and also in the run up to the talks. And a lot of people, even non-technical people, have started to be much more concerned with privacy, and especially privacy when it comes to health. So I felt the timing was very right to actually make it. And it seems like I'm right, because it's not only security and privacy that has gotten attraction. There's also become like this new feminist menstrual kind of era. So hopefully I can like work with both of those kind of trends with POW, both the privacy and the menstrual stuff. But I did not do any kind of formal validation, if that was the question.
Awesome. So it's more like, okay, I have an idea, the timing is right, let's go for it. And then you found people to talk to afterwards, because I think you still had to find people to talk to get feedback on the idea itself and on how to pitch the idea for your launch.
Yeah. So I asked on Twitter if people wanted to be beta users, and I think 30 something people said yes, and about 20 people signed up for Zoom interviews.
Nice.
So I actually had to cancel a bunch of them, mostly because I was sick, but also because that's a lot of, and I only thought maybe like 8 people would sign up. So I've done some adjustment to the Calendly page, and I'm now asking the people who are becoming paying customers to sign up for a 30-minute talk, so that I can keep kind of, because I know that the concept isn't yet self-explanatory when you get into the app, so I kind of need to spend more time with the users, because as soon as I explain it makes sense to them, but I'm still having problems like getting them started in that. So the concept is that instead of selecting a regular cycle app, is that you go in and then you get this long list of symptoms and moods that you can have. And then you have to select between those. And you also often have to select very detailed. You can't just say, oh, I'm bleeding today. You have to be like 1 drop, 2 drops, or 3 drops. It's very kind of scientific and very much putting you into a box, which I guess is good if you're going to sell the data. So my approach is much more.
Maybe you can show us.
You write.
Maybe you can show us the app.
I can show you the app. Yeah, then everybody can give me feedback. But yeah, I haven't set up the demo account yet. But we could try. So the concept with POW is that you write more free form, and then you hashtag the things that you want to keep an eye on. And then if you're on cycle day 5, then whatever your hashtag will show up on cycle day 5 in the next period, so that you can, in the next cycle, so you can get more and more, or get to know your own cycle better, and
Okay.
not kind of what an app or an AI says you should feel.
So it's a lot more tied to your moods than it is to the actual bleeding.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a lot less detailed on that, but if
Mm-hmm.
you want to differentiate on it, you could do that with your own hashtags.
Yep.
And it's also because I want, or at least I felt the need, because I have moods that I call it mollefunk, which is like a mood that is never in the dictionary, but I know what it feels like, and it's important for me to track that mood.
Mm-hmm.
So I always forgot if I logged that as anxious or sad or angry or whatever.
Right.
So I never managed to track it consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I want people to use their own words and get to know their own cycle, and know that it's private, so you can actually put the important stuff in
That's
there.
awesome. Yeah, because I guess a lot of the other apps are very limited in what you can put in, because they need to feed it to their AI algorithms, which only have a limited number of inputs.
Well, you would think it was a limited. I mean, I think one of them have about 60 symptoms you can choose from. And
Yeah.
I mean, trying to find one that fits, it's a limited, but it feels unlimited when you're kind of like trying to find your.
Yeah, I bet. But in terms of machine learning, it's still a
Yes.
set of labels. It's not type anything. Okay, so
Exactly.
so how did the launch go? You had all of these conversations, and I think it's a really good validation that you had more people sign up than you could handle. That's already, you know, there's something there. So how did you launch, and how did the launch go?
So it was International Women's Day on Sunday, and actually 2 years ago, friends of mine, we were saying we needed to have a big brunch for this one, since it was on a Sunday. So it was already in our calendars, and then I kind of hijacked it and made it into my launch brunch. And it was a lot of fun, and I think the main purpose of it was getting my friends on board, or people I know here in Oslo, and also to get photos, because I mean there's a limited amount of time you can share a screenshot or a picture of your computer and be for kind of like marketing purposes.
Yeah.
So we had a photographer, and we had props made.
Wow.
And we had so much fun, like taking pictures. But it was raining, so we were like outside in the rain, and we were taking pictures. And so it was basically just a lot of fun. And then in terms of signups, I think I had 8 paying customers now.
Congrats.
And we've made, I guess, $200.
That's awesome. Hey.
So slow beginnings. And because you can pay monthly or yearly, and I think several people have signed up for the yearly plan, which makes it more, which is good for me. And also, I hope some of them I know, and some of them it looks like I don't know.
Cool.
So that's good. And also, I think we talked about this, and even my sign up page is kind of like trying to push people off. So I'm like, this doesn't work if your cycle is irregular. This doesn't work if you're trying this. This doesn't work. So that I get kind of people that really want what I've tried to explain about using your own words and it being private. And hopefully they're into like helping me serve their needs.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have like a small, very engaged user base in the beginning, and then hopefully when I nail kind of the analogies and the UI, then it will be easier to reach more people.
Nice. So yeah, I think that's really important, that a lot of especially indie makers are very afraid of, is saying, hey, this product is for these people. It's potentially not for you, because everyone I want to get 1,000 subscribers on my first day, and obviously that's not going to happen. So, so yeah, I like the idea of pushing people away, so you only get the actual users who understand what you want to build for them. And how did you act? So you said you had this launch brunch party. What did you do to get visitors to the page? Or did you just tell everyone at the brunch, hey, go there and sign up?
No.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of close friends shared it on Facebook.
Nice.
So I see that most of my traffic is Norwegian at this point. I haven't checked the stats today. And then I'm gonna try to kind of just, I like to say the expression, keep on keeping on, just trying to like get like consistent marketing and consistent traffic, and then improve a little, and then hopefully kind of get like a slow and steady growth is what I'm looking for. So that I can still have my life and still make it what like try and get to the vision that I have in my head. Cool. Was there more questions from Twitch? Because you only asked them one.
I kind of wrapped up all of the questions into one broader question.
Okay. Yeah.
So you mentioned slow and steady growth with some stable marketing behind that. What's your reasoning behind going for slow and steady rather than I'm gonna spend $100,000 on ads and get 1 million users right away?
Well, first of all, I don't think the app is ready for 1 million users right away, because I think a lot of them will come in there and be like, oh, this wasn't what I expected, and then just leave. And it's going to be hard to get them back. Also, I don't want the support that many users actually entail, especially in the beginning when there are quirks that you maybe not know about yourself. It's better to have about 20 people telling you about it than like thousands of people telling you about it. And I've read about products that have kind of like failed under the weight of kind of all of those things. Support and maintenance kind of issues, and a ton of money in the future, but I like to keep a steady pace and have fun while I go along.
Okay.
And so I'm part of this group in Norway that says #slow business.
Oh, nice.
where we talk more about what kind of, like, how can the business help me have the life that I would like to have, more than how can I maximize my earning potentials.
Cool. Have you read Paul Jarvis's Company of One?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great book, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so slow and steady, so you can keep your life, and so that you have a smaller audience that you're fixing things for, rather than being crushed by the weight of everyone. So what is your...
And also, I don't have 100,000 to use on advertisements.
That's a good point, yeah.
And I don't want anybody investing 100,000 for advertisements. So.
So what's your plan for surviving this SaaS ramp of death, as people call it, where, as like exponential growth always looks slower than linear at first, and then it explodes, right? So how do you plan to survive that slow part? How are you gonna keep motivated? I know you have a job, so you're probably not gonna just run out of money right away, but how are you gonna stay motivated? What are the milestones you're setting for yourself?
So you're right with on the money side, I contract about half of working hours a year, and that keeps me happy money-wise. And then right now I'm very motivated, but as you said, maybe in 4 or 5 months I'm not that motivated, and I do know that about myself, that I have in the past liked to start things more than I like to keep up with them. But I feel with this, it's more than just a fun project, with like tapping into kind of that the privacy aspect, that I
Mm-hmm.
really marketing the app, that I can actually use the app to like share and connect with other developers.
Cool.
And then it's also kind of the activist aspect of it that is coming up with kind of menstrual cycle
Mm-hmm.
knowledge is something people are concerned with. And in that regards, I have so much to learn because I'm a coder. I am not a health
Yeah.
person. So I think with this app, there's so many aspects to it that I can kind of like change my focus,
Mm-hmm.
but still have it be POW and be something that benefits POW. Even just like, probably at some point I'll make like a merchandising shop just because I want
Oh,
to.
that would be cool.
And then I can like code, then I can code something for that if I want, or
Mm-hmm.
use something that's done. But there's so many ways and things that kind of I think will keep me as interested, or keep
Yeah.
me interested in the long run. And also, I feel just life changes a
Mm-hmm.
little bit after having kids. Like I've become much more like in it for the long run when it comes
Oh,
to
wow.
things than I used to be before that. And also, yeah, I have less time, so you know,
Yeah. So
you
it.
can't just like make something totally new. You got to keep on building on what you have. So hopefully that's gonna, yeah.
Yeah, and I
But we'll
guess
see.
especially when you have paying users, it's a lot easier to stay interested because hey, there's people paying me
Yeah.
to work on this. So.
And especially if they get engaged. And also, so we're a little family business, and my partner, he's learning to code.
Mhm.
So that's also helpful because he now gets to have this project where he does things that I think is boring,
Oh, cool.
that he thinks is a lot of fun because he's a new developer. So
Mhm.
that is also going to be helpful. And he also have, because we don't have notifications right now, because I was like, you can't have notifications. I don't have access to the data. So I was
Yeah.
like very stuck in kind of like traditional
Mhm.
coding mentality.
Yeah.
And he was like, but can't they just make their own notifications and you don't see kind of their
Oh,
data
wow.
anyway? I'm like, yes, we could.
That's brilliant.
Yes, we could.
That's a really good idea.
So, and then I also tried to involve my daughter, so she has made our mascot, which is going to be which is a little unicorn without a horn. So it's not really a unicorn, but she
So
calls
a
it unicorn.
horse.
Anyway, so it's going to be the mascot. I haven't managed to put it into the app yet, but so we're trying to like be
That's
the whole
awesome.
family business is working on this.
Yeah, that's amazing. Getting everyone involved.
Yeah.
So Twitch is asking a question. There's SmackD and just another lurker who would like to know more about the technology stack you're using. We
Yeah.
mentioned user base a little bit in the beginning, but what's the full stack, I guess?
So it's a serverless stack, very fancy. Uh, so I use Gatsby for the front end, mostly because I knew it pretty well from before, and I needed both marketing pages and app pages. So it was nice to have that kind of server side rendered
Mm-hmm.
marketing marketing pages, and also to make an app shell. I haven't utilized all of their kind of PVA capabilities yet,
Mm-hmm.
progressive web app capabilities yet, but I will like use more and more of those. So that's Gatsby. And with Gatsby, I've used Material UI,
Nice.
which I know some people love to hate, but I really like it, and I've become, and I know it pretty well now because I use it for project work too. So it's easy to kind of like mold it into what I need it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then the backend is user base, and then it's all hosted on Netlify,
Cool.
and I use Stripe for payments. And how much does it cost me? Well, I haven't done the calculations yet. So user base, if you're listening, you're way too cheap. So it's $45. It's $45 a year.
Oh, wow.
And
That's cheap.
I need them to charge more so they'll stay in business. And then I think I'm still running on a Netlify free plan, or it's part of my team plan. So I'm not like, I don't know how many percentage of that is for PAL. And then I also, the same thing with Fathom. I have a plan which I think is probably the most expensive thing I have, $29 a month or something, but I can run however many projects I want or
Cool.
sites I want in there.
Awesome.
And then Stripe is free, or it's not free, they
Yeah.
take a fee.
Yeah, they take a fee when you, but
They take
only
a
when
fee.
people are paying you, so that's fine.
That's fine. So so not that much. I can cover the cost with my salary.
That's awesome.
But it would be nice to be able to cover the cost of my time with customers in the long run.
Yeah, that's, as software engineers, I think that's the hardest part, is covering the cost of your time.
Yes, definitely.
But I love when you said that if people are listening to this part, they're too cheap, because everyone always asks, hey, how much does it cost to run serverless or Netlify or this or that? I'm like, just charge people for what you're building and it's going to be fine.
Yeah. It's you can get away with very little money now. I mean, as compared to I'm getting like old on in the web years.
Oh no,
when I finished.
I remember my first startup, that was 10 years ago now. We turned it on, launched, and our credit card basically melted. So,
oops.
Yeah, oops.
Oops.
So, let's see. So,
if anybody have any questions specifically about any of the stacks, you can ask. Because the only thing I'm really happy with all of them, so it's trying to know what to say about them, because I don't have any issues with them.
Yeah, because you don't have context, right? So Eddie Blue is asking if you have a 1-year plan for the app or any specific features or numbers that you're trying to reach.
I think for me it's more about having those consistent days where I work on it, and setting aside time both for marketing and development. So kind of instead of having like a numbers goal, I'm trying to like have a set time for marketing. Nice. So after Easter, I'm not working as a contractor anymore until next fall. So I will like set up more of kind of like goals on how much time I should spend specifically on marketing, because coding I will probably just do. But like actually spending time doing marketing and more kind of strategic work. Feature wise, there is so much I want to do. So first of all, I will have to try to make kind of the beginning process really good, so that people understand like how the app works and kind of the concept behind the app. And then I would like to do notifications, so that people can set notifications for certain cycle days, or kind of like 5 days before the next period or two, so that you can kind of configure it yourself, what kind of notifications you want. And after that, this is a feature that most of the men ask me for, and that some of the menstruating population hate the idea and some love it. And that's the ability to share your cycle with a significant other and decide what you want to share, so that you don't have to communicate in the moment how you're kind of feeling, and then the other person can kind of like have a way to kind of check in
that's cool.
On the cycle.
Yeah, I always found those ideas kind of somewhere between creepy and amazing.
Yes. So but the good thing here is that it will be, you don't have to. And so for the users who love the idea, which are more people than I thought, it's great. And for the people who don't, then we'll skip it. So marketing effort there, I'm thinking about making email course on the menstrual cycle for people who've never had the menstrual cycle. And then especially for developers, because I know we developers want there to be a system for everything, and there is a system here, but it's a very unpredictable system. So trying to explain that could be a fun kind of marketing thing. So those were feature goals, and then so that was I answered the question, didn't I? Feature goals, and then there was the
numbers.
Yeah, and also the numbers. Yeah, and then because I've had good in other parts of my business, I've had really good results with setting aside times to work on those things that will rise numbers, but kind of focus on the activity more than the number that's going to come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also will have to spend time and try to find some people who are better data scientists than I am to get the prediction engine to be better about when your next period is coming specifically, because we only have the one user's data. So we're gonna have to figure a way to make something. It's never gonna be as good as the others because they have everyone's cycle to kind of take a look at. But I think my users are not gonna be as concerned if it's a day off. Kind of, that's not what I'm trying to be best at. But I still wanna, when there's money coming in, I would like to spend some of that money on somebody who knows kind of that field a lot better than myself.
Cool. Yeah, it's always important to get experts involved for the parts you can't cover yourself. So if
nobody go on GitHub and look at my prediction engine, please.
Yeah, those are fun to build. So if we're gonna wrap up, so one last question. Is there any question you wish I had asked but didn't, and what's the answer?
From the kind of the audience. What's the answer?
Or like anything you wanna tell us that we didn't cover yet?
Anything I want to tell you? No. Well, yeah, the web page. It's usepow.app, and the hashtag is #usepowapp.
So
and my Twitter handle. Yeah, and I'm Ray on Twitter, RA. Do sign up for a Zoom conversation with me. That would be awesome.
Cool.
No, I think we covered most of it.
Awesome. Well, then, thank you for your time,
Oh,
and thanks everyone who joined live.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. It will be fun to watch it. I'll go and watch the stream because this is my first stream. It's gonna be fun to see how it actually looked like as a stream.
Yeah. It's gonna stay up on YouTube. I think on Twitch it vanishes. So people find it. You can find it on YouTube if you're watching it there. And if anyone wants this to become like a more of a regular thing that I do on my streams, let me know in wherever you know how to find me. So thanks guys. All right.